What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D, and no, I do not think Marco Rubio is going to last very long. As I've said many times, when this is all said and done and Donald Trump is gone, there are going to be hundreds of people and politicians sprinting away from the things that they've said and the loyalties that they've given to him. That thumbnail picture that you saw, this video that you're about to see, it is of a man who is already starting to consider if his political career will be able to withstand the stupidity, ignorance, and horrible moves made by the Donald Trump administration. Marco Rubio is wondering if he's going to end up in prison one day. He probably already knows politically he's done. But the things that he's co-signing on, the things that he's just sitting around and allowing to happen, will have him in front of congressional hearings when Donald Trump is gone. And he knows that. And this is why he was sitting in the Oval Office, sinking into his seat while the complete idiocracy was happening between J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, their press corps that they handpicked, and President Zelensky.
Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I don't
the
have
dignity of
such.
this office.
I will wear costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something
maybe
like this?
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for.
And you know, if only Marco Rubio had been warned of what happens when you find yourself in Donald Trump's orbit. If only someone had told Marco Rubio the problems you're going to have if you ever find yourself siding with Donald Trump. If only 2025 Marco Rubio had spoken to 2016 Marco Rubio.
You compared Donald Trump to a third world dictator yesterday in an interview with the New York Times. How so?
Well, I don't know about a dictator. I said a third world strongman. He's running for president, so no matter what, he won't be a dictator unless our republic completely crumbles, which I don't anticipate it will. But yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not. Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other.
The days when Marco Rubio thought for himself. And you know, the last part of that is the part I want to talk about because it's the most important part. Because the guy who is sinking in that sofa, listening to Donald Trump, J.D. Vance just embarrass themselves, is starting to think this is not going to end well. He's starting to think of his exit strategy right now. Like, you better believe Marco Rubio is right now trying to figure out how he can leave and still salvage his political career and possibly his freaking freedom. Because a lot of these things that are going on right now in 2025, there are going to be hearings, there are going to be indictments, there are going to be guilty verdicts for the things that are happening because a lot of it is illegal. And for someone like Marco Rubio to be sitting there and allowing it to happen when he sits in the chair that he sits in, he has to be thinking, how in the hell can I get out of this? And there are going to be many more. Remember, in Donald Trump's first 4 years, He had the most hirings, firings, retirements, and resigns than any other president before. He's starting off this term way worse than he started off that term. There are going to be a lot of people walking away, and just like before, they're going to be giving interviews, and they're going to be saying, this dude is crazy. He's crazy. Look at all the military generals that walked away from him and came out and said he should not be running the country. And it's unfortunate that those people's voices weren't amplified more, and we may not be in the situation that we're in. But there's going to be a lot of them. And what we need to do is we need to always remind them of what they stood by and allowed to happen. We need to always be able to remind them. We have to keep our foot on the gas and let people know that these people stood around and allowed this shit to happen. They took an oath to the freaking country, to the Constitution, to us, not to Donald Trump. Most of them don't even have an opinion anymore until they hear Donald Trump's opinion. How many of these people stood on one side of things and have now come out on the other side of things because Donald Trump said so? Marco Rubio is looking for an out right now. And I don't care if he gets out or not. We need to remind his ass of what he did, what he stood by and allowed to happen while the goddamn country crumbled. This is a joke and an embarrassment, and we need to not let these people forget it. Like never. I don't care how many times it takes us to say it. I don't care how many times people say, oh, get over that now. We need to always remind them of what they did. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in their heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.